Hello, everyone. Welcome to Four Checks Cast. We are your Four Checks, and we're here to bring you everything going on in the world of universes. And a world it has been indeed, because we just got done with Worlds 2025. So we want to just talk about everything. It is pretty much the entire stream is going to be this. So starting top to bottom, I think we're going to just start with the keynote. And I'm going to kind of let you guys lead the keynote conversation, because I will say I heard everything secondhand. I did not get to be there for keynote because my job got in the way.
Yeah, so let's see the keynote. So first and foremost, we got to see. I hope I'm not forgetting anything, and we're gonna
Please.
get these all in official order articles over the coming days and weeks here. But we got product images and like specific release dates for everything that's coming this year. So that was cool to see. Can't do a whole lot to discuss those here. They looked good.
They did say, just to make sure I remember quickly, they did say that regionals will not be on the same weekend as any of these release dates, correct?
Yes.
I believe that was the case, yeah.
Which is good. Good change. That's all I'll say.
And we got to hear about more about what the regional, the OP prize support is going to look like. The two sort of biggest announcements are one, their Invincible release has been upgraded to a booster set, and that is going to be the last booster set of 2027. They said so. We'll have 2 or 3 in between the ones we know about and that set. So we'll find out what those are later. And the other thing is they revealed the new in-house IP they're coming out with called Rebel Frontier.
Yeah. Let's go and start with Invincible a little bit there. Are any of you, because I'm a huge fan of it, are any of you guys fans of Invincible?
Yeah, I watched it on Amazon. That's been the extent of it, but I really enjoyed it. So I've been making Conquest copy pasta jokes since before they announced it.
I read all of it. I'm not caught up with the show, but I watched the first season and I read the entire comic series. It's good. Like, I'm not huge on superhero cape stuff, but like it's good for what it is.
Sure.
Yeah, I never knew about it until it got announced for UVS.
Oh, really?
I'm very not in the superhero space. I don't do comics or anything like that. I don't watch the Marvel movies or any of those. I can tell it's extremely popular.
Yeah.
And perhaps at some point between now and the set releasing, I'll try to watch it to know what's up. But yeah, I'd never really heard about it.
Invincible is in the running for one of the biggest non-Marvel or DC superhero comic books. You could argue like Spawn, maybe, because Spawn's obviously very big, but it's definitely in the running for one of them. I'm a huge time superhero fan. Like, I love Marvel, I love DC. I watch superheroes are probably my number one genre of media I like. It's part of the reason I got into UVS was My Hero Academia was so cool. This was probably my number one hope for a set that I thought was realistically acquirable. Like, obviously, oh man, Marvel or DC would be cool, but that's a little bit of a pipe dream. This was the one that I was like, hey, I think we could get Invincible, and I think it would be incredibly huge for the game to get something like this. Like, it gets your superhero stuff that you're going to kind of lose as My Hero stories wrapped up. It gets some Western comic stuff, which we haven't had a lot of. I am beyond ecstatic, and I want to play Mark Grayson and Omni-Man and all these people on paper. This was as happy as I could be. I was sad I was not there in person to be hyped about it.
Yeah, sounds like they're going to fit even more of those characters you like in this set, because it's not going to be just a Challenger release anymore.
Yes. I have heard mixed things about if the Challenger decks are happening on top of it, or if an upgrade means that it is instead of Challenger decks, we are now getting a full set. Which time will tell on that.
Yeah, I think the only thing we really know are the initial article that said decks, and then the keynote that said booster set. We don't know if that's
and
combined
they've
or
released
what.
they've released an article since then, and I think it was more clear that it was a replacement, but maybe I'm remembering that wrong.
It's entirely possible. Regardless, I think if you're getting a full set, you don't really need challenger decks. Like, it's a nice bonus, but you're going to get all the characters in a full booster.
Right.
Yeah.
It gets a little tricky to, like, you want to put your best foot forward with your challenger decks if you can, but then your booster set doesn't have any of your 4 most major characters. Like,
or you just do the AOT thing and you print 2 versions of them in the challengers and the main set, which always felt weird. And it makes it impossible to say the right errand number when trying to talk about the different errands of the game.
Seen the set, and then don't worry too much about Armin. Challenger Armin, who's like kind of playable, and Challenger Aaron's kind of playable, but anyway.
Anyways, yeah. Rebel Frontier, I think there's a lot to talk about. Let's give that one a little bit of attention. So you guys inform me on this. Is it going to be predominantly or exclusively reprints? Like, tell me what they said.
I think they said at first, but I assume with everything, if there's hype, that we'll get more to it, right? Like,
sure. Yeah, we don't strictly know. They
right.
would be. It's certainly I can't imagine unless I maybe way into the future if this really grows or something. It's certainly they're not planning to release a paid product with it.
Right.
It's not going to be like Red Horizon or Shadow War, something that they're trying to get stores to sell as booster boxes on the shelf, unless they really just need to fill time in a set because of the way their licenses lined up or something.
Oh, thank you, Levi.
Yeah,
I love when Levi's in the chat. 20 alt arts of 2025 cards. So they are the cards of last year, spread across the prize wall of the 5 major events this year.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So it will be it will be used for a bunch of alt arts, and people who've seen me yap enough know that this is something I've been harping about for a while. Is just, if you're having a hard time getting prize wall promos made because of licensing issues and this, that, and the other thing, and you're having to select like weird art that's not really that great, or weird cards that aren't really that good because the licensor doesn't think that this name goes with that card or whatever.
Yeah.
Just make your own IP. You have the creative minds inside the company to do it, and this sounds like it's Hitch's brainchild here. And yeah, so if people who don't know what it is, so they showed us a video, and it really wasn't clear what the purpose of this video was until afterwards, but it's basically a bunch of shots, I think all from various anime. I don't think they had any like custom animations for Rebel Frontier itself. They might have slipped a couple of those in there, but it was all like Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, old Gundams, that sort of thing. And the idea is that Rebel Frontier is sort of modeled after that like 90s sci-fi space opera anime era that people who like watched Toonami growing up are probably pretty familiar with that sort of thing. And yeah, so pretty cool. And then we got to see some of the actual arts on the promos, and the art looks really good. It is not the sort of thing where like they're so deep into trying to replicate this 90s look that it looks like it's a grainy screen cap from a CRT television or anything like that, right? It is actual good art. The cards look really good. So yeah, that's what Rebel Frontier is. It sounds like we're going to be getting an article about it tomorrow. Personally, when they come out with something like this, first of all, obviously I wanted them to. But second of all, when it's in front of you, the temptation, you want to compare it to like, I'm going to yap up for a while here. You want to compare it to the like Shadow War and Red Horizon, right? Those were the 2 previous attempts in this game.
Oh, Shadow War was an original IP? I didn't know that.
Yes.
To try and come out with an original IP. And in Shadow War's case, you had this IP that this was like Steve Horvath thought that this historical stuff was really cool. And he had this really pretty fleshed out ideals. He seemed pretty polished, using a bunch of like different old mysticisms and historical figures and that sort of thing to base this world off of. And the art was, really good, really professional. People were joking about From the Horse Endurance the other week, because that horse looks majestic, right? The art's really good, it's really polished, and nobody cared, right? Ultimately, in the end, this just because Steve Horvath thought it was cool didn't mean anybody else did. And you had a few people that are like, Zemi is my favorite character or whatever, but that was for gameplay reasons as much as anything. And so, we had that attempt, and then we had later on Red Horizon, which Jason came out with because he took the game over and we didn't have any IPs, right? It's going to take a while to get any licenses squared away, and more people have seen those cards around and about. It's very anime, very lots of Genzo man art, very flashy, very colorful, but not necessarily the most like polished or well produced thing. The stories were kind of question mark for a lot of these characters. Very tropey, right? For lack of a better word, this is a little overused these days, but it's basically just like slop, right? It's just a bunch of like tropey stuff that is kind of just works, and it did kind of work. It was reasonably popular for an original IP. There were a lot more Red Horizon fans than there were Shadow War fans. And there's still a guy trying to make a book of this stuff, but like you couldn't really call it a quality IP per se, right? Genzo Man's art was very like colorful and bright and vibrant, and the characters were like there, and most people could find one that they liked for one reason or another. But like it wasn't like a quality, professionally produced kind of idea, right? And
yeah,
I think Rebel Frontier looks like something that can really thread that needle, where you have something that has some quality, right? There's some thought behind it. There's a style to it. It's not just like super generic or something like that. There's a clear vibe going on here, but at the same time, it's still like in that sort of anime space. It's going to have appeal to people. The characters are going to be pretty dynamic, it looks like, and people are going to be able to pick out some favorites and stuff, especially if we get some like lore pieces and things like that. So I think this is a really good, smart angle to do with this, where you're trying to do the two things, right? You want something that is going to appeal to people, appeal to a wide range of people, while also not doing something that's just kind of like traditional tropey, generic, throwaway, slot type stuff.
I 100% agree. I have very mixed feelings on Red Horizon. I notoriously do not like characters that I think are like uncomfortably sexualized, like specifically for male audiences. And there are a few characters in Red Horizon and a few art in Red Horizon that is so that. I don't think there is a girl in Red. I guess Miska maybe is the closest to like a normal clothed girl in Red Horizon. What I have heard, and I have not gotten to see the art myself, is like Rebel Frontier is much more respectful towards its character designs, which makes me more excited and interested.
Yeah.
Holy!
Hold on.
I can't.
For anyone watching the bot who doesn't have the chat,
no, they have the chat. The chat's on.
Oh, they do have the chat. Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Oh my god.
Red Horizon had a lot of influences from the lives of the creators in and around it,
Yep.
And
plural girlfriends and ex-girlfriends got involved.
It was kind of set in an alternate, like fantastical, like America, like the president of the United States, like a fantasy president of the United States, Vincent Gray, was like a evil, like freaking whatever. I'm not really getting
it was Donald Trump.
No, it wasn't.
No, because Vincent Gray could like fight. He's
Vincent,
some people's
Vincent
like
Gray
crazy
was, like, George
vision.
Washington.
Yeah.
Except like George Washington. He said he had a stand. Actually, he was George Washington with a stand, and he was like the 58th president of the United States or something.
Sure.
Got us a card called the White House, and that was funny.
Okay. So,
yeah, we had a lot of fun with we had to like plan for the match. 5 different plan to destroy the White House. Like it's good times. I feel like that.
Good old homemade explosives.
Yeah.
I think my hope with Rebel Frontier, I have a few hopes. So on a story level, I hope that like we actually do come up with an idea of like interesting stories to tell with these 20 cards and whatever future cards we print with it. Like give me cool, interesting lore that is explained in the card art. I think you can do that. I think it'd be really interesting. I think, if you can show me some of the character personalities, I would hope we would get to a point where you would make Rebel Frontier alt arts or, whatever that alternate universe we're calling the character cards that were the Sung Jin Woo alt universe characters. Give me some of those and make me want to consider playing those versions of the character. I hope we would get that. Mechanically, I'm a little. I think it's fine since this is the first year experimenting with it. My understanding is they only showed rare reprints in the art, or challenger deck reprints.
I sure didn't track exactly which cards they were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
that
Filled with
as well.
Doubt, and I remember Rising Uppercut, and that's like it.
And Filled Out, I'm glad we're getting because I think even as rares goes, Filled Out, is it still expensive? There was a while it was like a $5 or $10 rare. Someone can check that.
Yeah.
I hope if this gets successful and they do more of this in future years or later on if they just haven't revealed them yet, that we get some reprints of like URs from UU2 that are really hard to get firsthand nowadays. Things like that. And I also think, and this kind of leads into the next thing I want to talk about before
by the time we get to 2027, those will be rotating.
True. I also do, but then whatever's like the AOT one there, whatever's the 2 years back URs that are harder to get firsthand, I would like us to get some of those as the alt arts as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated dance, but yeah, go ahead.
I think another big thing, more than that, give me retro reprints of cards that are staples in the retro format. I think there is it kind of segue next thing we're going to talk about. They are wanting to take retro more seriously. They have said they want it to be more serious as a format, and they're going to offer some pretty serious pricing. Thank you, Colby, for the tier 1 sub, by the way.
Thank you.
There is going to be more serious pricing involved. If you're going to do that, some of these harder to access URs should be reprinted. Make the format more accessible. Also encourages people to try the format out because they see a cool thing. Imagine the hype, just to give the extreme example, although some collectors might complain, if Trinity Geyser was reprinted as one of these alt art reprints, and you hear people all around the locals going, oh my God, this card was a $250 card. It's available on the prize wall now. It's a retro card. You could get a lot of conversation around retro sparked through stuff like that.
Yeah, and I love I love what retro reprints can do, where it just seeds people to play decks and seeds people to try stuff. It's just so good for the entire ecosystem. You know,
yeah, because they did that. They did that once with the Rose Whiplash promo.
Yeah.
That was so hype. I want more of that.
Yeah, so I definitely agree. That's very exciting. That that's a thing on the horizon for retro to come in.
It's a thing they could definitely consider now. Yeah,
it's a thing on the frontier.
Yes.
Also, Justin, for the reference, Moment Normalcy is 15. Filled with Doubt is 10 right now.
Okay, so they are picking good rare reprints.
Yes.
They are picking the things that are like a little bit more expensive in your decks, even if they are just rares. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's always there's always like such a push and pull with like supply to things like this, right? And they have to guess well in advance. And I guess the Infinity cards are pretty safe bets.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm surprised those prices are even that high. That's crazy.
And I know they showed, I think Not Now in Gaming was one of the ones they showed, and that one's probably going to do well on the prize wall because it's going to be a cute anime girl playing video games. And so I'm sure a bunch of people are going to want that one.
I mean, Rising Uppercut was a cute anime girl doing an uppercut, so people will love that one too.
There you go. Let's talk a little bit about retro, if everyone's down. That was the other big announcement. They announced that at every regional, the retro side event is going to have a 1K cash pot attached to it, which is crazy because our main event does not have a cash pot tied to it. Yes, you get promos and you get the backup on the main one, but it's kind of crazy that if you win the retro side event, you just are going to get like $400. Like, are you guys one? Like, I know Rochester Retro was a thing that was like, I don't know how much, Tim, you participated. I know it was kind of in part Broberg's brainchild. Broberg played a big part in the Rochester Retro ban list. Are you guys excited to see retro become a much more serious thing at these events?
I'm a little anxious for the quality of the games. I'll be forthright about that.
Yeah.
I think that it is awesome that we're going to have this attention and this energy on it. And I wish everyone luck who wants to like really hustle and grind for that. It's kind of like on I should make a retro deck that's actually going to be sleeved and stuff and ready to play. I'm not sure how hard I'm going to prioritize that. Because it is occasionally, I mean, even standard is a hostile format these days, right? Like you sit down, you know, there's a lot of matchup. There's a lot of there's a predator for everything, right? Like there's some matchup you're afraid of. You know, even if you're a Godzilla main, you're like, my deck's broken, nothing is good against this. Like, there's still stuff out there that can beat you up. Retro's like that times 10, right? Like there is something crazy lurking in the shadows. There's a million silver bullets to destroy you, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Half the opponents you face are going to try to make you never want to play the format again, one way or another.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, is it Justin? Is this kind of connecting with you? Is this kind of what you want out of a format? Like, are you getting excited?
Okay, here's the thing. I want to be the only person playing a deck where no one has fun in the format.
Yeah,
Retro's
you want to be the
everyone's
wolf,
playing.
and like you're just like in the pen of sheep, and
Yeah.
they don't even. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if I'm the only one telling people they don't play the game, that's fine. If everyone's telling everyone else they don't play the game, that sounds miserable. Did you see Poor in Mind's Deku versus Tyner match? That was no one playing the game.
No, I saw them sit you down at the stream table and was like, "Wow, that's a mistake," and then I stopped thinking about it.
All I know is I think it made Tam want to strangle you.
That one, no, it was a later game that made Tam want to strangle me. I don't think he wanted to be that much that game. I actually had my stage relatively organized because they would shoot me if I didn't.
Well, I just mostly meant because it wasn't good television.
That is true. That part is. Yeah, no, like I will say this is the most I have considered taking retro seriously. Not just because money on the line, but also like not to flex. I have my world invite for next year now. So like I'm gonna do, I think, all the regionals still because I want to try to win a backup because I think the backup pricing is really cool. But if I scrub out, having an actual meaningful side event that has cool pricing on the line is a thing that does excite me. So it's the most I've considered playing retro. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it or not because every time someone shows me a deck for retro, I go, that's insanely toxic and I don't want to deal with it. Like Stone Man immediately comes to my mind as like, this deck just looks like an unfun time.
You know, it's a challenge to your creativity and your like to really flex your muscles and find something that can be really durable and get attacked from all these weird angles and still manage to succeed. Still give yourself the tools to succeed.
Sure. And maybe I'll play it and I'll fall in love with retro. You never know.
Dare I say it's peak universes.
Yeah, this is why I fall in love with Kuga Kolokan. If I ever build a retro deck, it's like I'll think about doing other things, but I was ever actually going to play in one of these events trying to win, I'd probably just play some Kuga Kolokan and try to taco truck people, basically.
Duck and punch, yeah.
I will say I'm interested to see if this brings people to just come play retro. Like, as in, like, I wonder how many people are going to be there for the cash prize for retro as opposed to people who are just going for the standard event.
I think we might get that when, whether it's 2027 or 2028, I imagine this concept will eventually morph into Sunday Hero 2 events or whatever they decide to rename it to once it's not just My Hero Plus standard.
Right.
I think once you reach that point, you might have some people doing that. I would be surprised if anybody has like a retro collection and is still paying attention to the game, but not interested in a standard event.
Sure, that's fair.
That's a weird Venn diagram.
I am actually shocked that at one of these regionals, we're not replacing the retro 1K with a Hero 2 1K. That legitimately surprised me because I thought they've talked a lot about Hero 2, and it is in many ways, Hero 2 is the more approachable extended format for most of the community that right now, because My Hero really did explode the game. And so it is, I don't know, it's very surprising that like, as far as
I think that, you know, I think that if there's, my sense of it is that like 2025 was the year of retro, and Sean was pushing that, and there was kind of, and I feel like it's kind of like there's a certain momentum to things, right? There's a certain lead time to things, and Hero 2 is, you know, quite new, right? Like I don't think they named it Hero 2 within the last few months, right? And so, you know, there's the lead time, and so they said, hey, we're trying to get retro, we're trying to get this stuff sorted out. I mean, I think my immediate thought with Rebel Frontiers, it was that, is it Frontier singular, isn't it, right?
Yeah.
My immediate thought was, oh, it's a vehicle for retro reprints. Like this is the thing that has been, this is a, you know, step in the direction of solving the problems that retro had as a format. One of the problems it has as a format. And great. Like it's been, the gears have been in motion for a while, and now here it is. And I'm sure that the broad swath of the momentum, the trajectory of the game is that we're certainly going to have more Hero 2. We're going to have more retro, and the extent that like this is the first manifestation of eternal format universes. It's just that retro was here first, and so it's kind of the first one getting the love.
Yeah, and down the road will be determined. I mean, we'll see. They're probably going to look at how Dallas and Atlanta do in terms of how many people are playing in retro once it's their third or fourth retro side event. How excited people are about playing in that format, and how much the designers absolutely hate figuring out the ban list, right? And they'll weigh that going into 2027 and decide. I don't think there's any reason to jump to promising a Hero 2 event right now.
Sure.
I mean, it could be like MHA Spotlight, where like the first couple events they're really popping with the Hero 2 side events, and then after a while people just stop, right?
Well, and Levi said in the chat that like here or retro had been kind of promised it would be getting something for a while now, so it makes sense that we're finally giving something to retro. Whereas,
they've been promising more like retro style events ever since the Standard Sunset event like had a lot of a shocking number of people playing it, and they were like, oh man, we should really do more of this, and then it just didn't.
So it'll be very
and so we're catching back up on that sort of.
And we'll see if it's there. And then I'm sure that like, and he says here, tell a whole lot this year about where the potential really is. Yeah, I'm sure we will see through this. UVS games will see, is retro the thing we push as our eternal or our side event main format, or is it going to be Hero 2? Is it going to be something else? Or are we going to mix and match?
Yeah, and I think that my sense is very, very strong. That's been kind of they're giving us a buffet, right? And some people come to eat at the My Hero only buffet, and some people come at the Spotlight buffets, and some people play retro, some people play My Hero 2, or play Hero 2, not My Hero 2, and that's all gravy, I think, to everyone, that we have more ways to play the game. Ultimately, it's that, and then to the extent that there has to be kind of a winner, there has to be one that's like the highlighted Sunday event. That is a zero-sum game, but it doesn't have to be zero-sum across every event, where every event is going to be the same either.
And I think they're planning to do teams every Friday, I think they also said. Right, instead of teams being the Sunday event, teams will be a Friday event. Sort of a warm-up, a pretty good chance to see like a wide range of things, because it's not only like your deck and your teammates' decks that you might know something about, but it's also you get to see 3 decks across the table.
I will say teams before Vegas in the 2024 season was incredibly valuable to me, in that I played a bunch of I played my deck, like got bodied by Nate DeWalt in the last round of the mirror, said, hey, let's play some more games, got bodied some more, and then went to bed miserable, woke up in the morning and finally connected some dots and built a cool deck.
And that's kind of a good transition right there, in terms of preparing for a main event. We all just had a main event. We had our Worlds 2025. It was all right performances across the board. Do y'all want to talk about, everyone give a little bit of a rundown of what their days of World? I think we were all day 2 guaranteed. What our day 2 and day 3s were like at Worlds.
Sure, I'll go first, because it's pretty short. It is good. It is good. I started high and then I fell off.
Sure.
I started off 2-1, and including a loss to Tim Keefe where I scooped because I had so much fun in the previous 2 rounds. And then I played in Godzilla on stream and lost a fairly interesting 3-game set, where I got completely obliterated game 3, and then I lost to Gavin's Bridget and then a Godzilla player who told me I finally got to just do the aggro thing, who basically just like screamed all over my face in the last round.
Sure.
That was my day. So
you were 2-4 at the end then?
Yep.
Gotcha. Tim, what was yours like?
So I said this before. I played this Order Peak, and it's people like ask me about the list, and it, not that no work went into it, but like I built this after Louisville to fight with backup decks, and I've iterated on it since then. I haven't done a lot of like wholesale thinking about the deck since then.
Sure.
I sort of just, I brought it back. I was going to just like try it at Buffalo to gut check it. Wound up not playing in that event. and then made like 5 to 10 slots of changes over the like 3 or 4 locals that have fired in the 2 months before Worlds, and kind of shipped it. But I did wind up going 3-1-2, including the scoop to Kevin. I had 2 draws with Mikasas, which was not on my bingo card. I've learned that the average Mikasa player does not play as fast as Ryan Field does. Because I played that matchup, a fair amount, because Ryan Field's just been slamming Mikasa, right? So I've got my testing has basically been against Mikasa and a non-prison Tyner and like Benimaru, right? Is basically all I've gotten to play against. And so I went up with 2 draws with Mikasas that ultimately sunk my day. I did lose to Travis's Mark Tyner, closer than I thought it would be. Peak doesn't really like having her foundations squelched down. That's the one thing that's not great for her. It was only because Unyielding was banned that I felt okay playing her. But you still have like these Tyner decks in the format that are trying to pin you to 3 foundations. But nonetheless, like game 1, I was a 5 check away from winning because I had drawn enough Thunder Spear barrages and 4 diff moves, I guess, and just like was squeaking by checks and just being really aggressive before things got on total lockdown, and I almost got there. But I wound up dropping that set, and then I had the 2 Mikasa draws. My wins, aside from Kevin, were against a Godzilla and Justin Martin's Commit You Down Prison type Mitchell Cimino deck, where my waylays came in really big there, kind of just, shut off his defensive tools when I went in. But ultimately, 3, 1, and 2 was on the bubble. There were 2 that got in and 1 that did not, and I was 17th on the 4th tiebreaker. On the game win percentage tiebreaker.
Yeah, I remember that one. You were right on the edge, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm gonna be so sad if he doesn't get it. And the worst thing was I was gonna be sad no matter what, because
it was between me and Zach Richards. Yeah,
it was you and Zach, who's a teammate, and I was like, oh man, there's no world where I'm happy with whoever 16th is. Whoever 17th, I'm gonna feel sad for.
Yeah, I felt good going into that round because my breakers were like 48%. They were looking pretty good, my strength of schedule. But then aside from Travis, who ID'd, all my prior opponents wound up losing their last round, which is it does not, like, that doesn't happen, right? That's just like a very, it just really, really wasn't my weekend, right?
Tragic
I had,
edge case, yeah.
The narrow loss to Tyner, the like weird strength of schedule stuff. My 1 draw with Mikasa, I had to check like 5 3s in a row to lose the game that I lost. So, sometimes it's just not there. But we got 17th. We had a good record. I was like 7-6 in games that I actually played. All my wins were 3-game matches. My loss was a 3-game match. I had a couple 1-1 draws. So like, it wasn't a stellar performance despite the record being positive, but it got us to a good record.
Right.
Yeah, it is Peak. She plays the game, and that it's on the level. That's all you can ask for.
Right.
Will?
I mean, I had to play against friends for the first half of the event, so that was rough. I had to take down my own teammate, Chris Smith, in round 1. Round 2, Broberg beat me down, and that was a really fun game. If you go read his Substack article about it, he goes in more detail about the fun that we had with that. And then after that, I played against Constantine on his Mikasa, and thankfully I managed to squeak that one out. That was a really close game, and that was very fun.
What's the Mikasa? You finish your thing, but I'm curious what the Mikasa mirror is like.
I mean, it's a bunch of clinching. Like,
man, I hope they don't keep having it.
Right, because your answers for each other are basically just like breaker 3 and stuff like that. So you just have to hope you have all the answers and they don't. And unfortunately, his list was the one not running Lunar Tiara, so I was able to get the half damage in.
You had a higher high,
yeah. It was close though. I almost got murdered.
There were a lot of timely counterattacks in the Mikasas.
Yeah,
that's one that Ryan doesn't have. So I was like, oh, that is a card that we're running, huh?
It's
I guess I don't get to side out my dark. Well, I wasn't siding out Dark Ward anyway, but I don't get to use them.
Right.
The 3-2.
I'm trying to remember what my other like 2 losses. I know one of my losses, but I don't remember who I lost to in round 4. Because I know in round 5 I played against Justin Martin. And that was a good back and forth until our last game. I mean, it was still a good game, but then I checked 5 3s in a row, and he managed to draw 3 walk the dogs in a turn and murdered me because I was defenseless at that point. And then final round I played against River, and that was just a good match overall.
Good, sure. So what was your final record then?
3-3.
Nice.
I was 31st.
Gotcha. I had a very, very eventful weekend. Kind of better than I was expecting. I was kind of nervous going in. Actually, more just disenfranchised and nervous because I was kind of like, oh, I haven't gotten to practice the last 2 or 3 weeks. January and February is peak tournament season for my job. And so like every Friday, Saturday, I was at a debate tournament. And our test nights were normally Fridays. And so I was like, I just can't practice for this for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I had practiced a ton the like month prior and like the week after the ban list. I had played games almost every night. Last couple of weeks, I hadn't gotten hardly any practice. And there was a lot of back and forth on if I should take Tyner or not. Tam was really big on pushing me to take Deku 6 or Mikasa 4 because he thought those were the 2 best. And in many ways, I did think like Deku 6 had a very good matchup spread going into this event. I ended up on Tyner because I was like, look, I would rather lose with a deck that I really feel like is my brainchild. I know other people have built very similar Tyners, but like I really from start to stern grinded that deck out. And even if it ends up not being favorable, I'd rather run it than not. And then because if I lose with it, it's like I did the work. If I lose with Deku, I'm gonna just be upset with myself, being like, why didn't I take Tyner? And so I took Tyner.
Choose the thing you'll regret the least.
Yeah. And I felt very rough after game 1. Game 1's a draw. I'm against Will Anderson on Will Anderson. And that Will Anderson deck does not kill particularly well, but it also doesn't die. And he manages to take a game 1 after like 35 minutes. And I take a game 2 with like 5 seconds on the clock and end up taking it. And I'm playing really sloppy that game. It's my first time playing the deck in paper because I had done all my testing in TTS. And I think it kind of showed. But after that game, I was like, okay, now I'm back in the minutia of playing this deck in paper. I think I'm good. Game 2 is against a Mikasa 4. I do fine. I had built my deck to handle like Mikasa 4 and Deku to the moon. And Deku, I think I never got beyond 50-50 with certain builds. But against Mikasa 4, I have so many outs in my deck. It will play on progressive and my deck D builds. I feel very good about that matchup. And end up taking that in a pretty clean 2-0. Round 3 is the on-stream game against Andrew Porat's Deku. And I think that game holds the record for the least watchable stream game of Standard ever. Oh my God, that stream game is unwatchable. Because I think the streamers start talking about League of Legends, the casters, like 30 minutes into the match when they realize neither of us are going to do anything. Because I was actually very worried about Deku. It was one of the matchups that I thought was worst matchups on paper for me, besides like it and like a really aggressive low foundation deck like a Godzilla or a low difficulty.
You were playing safety for his Tyner, right?
Yeah, I'm playing safety for his prison Tyner. I'm keeping you there as long as I can. We're using the whole clock. And
yeah, so it's principally the flash that does it in that kind of calculus, right? You're playing 6, 7, 8 difficulty cards. He flashes them. I just paid all this work for nothing.
Yeah, so it's basically I can't hit him because he flashes a move and blocks a second move, and I usually can't play 3 moves. But also, his version was not running the Hadir loop. The thing that had me very concerned in testing was that like I had enough consistent answers to One Punch. I was running 4 Ichigaki, 4 Filled with Doubt, 2 Runaway. I was running enough things. I was like, I can handle the flash move coming at me. What I can't handle is Hadir looping me, especially if he Ocean Buddies in the Hadir, because then I can't even like fill with doubt the Hadir to survive. So I was really worried about that. Then I read his deck list and saw he was running, I think, 14 attacks with no Hadir. It was all in on the One Punch with like some Kraken and Aerial Goblin Bolt for support. And I was like, oh, I don't die to this deck. If I get to turn 3, 4, or 5, I will have an Ichigaki on board. I will have Fill with Doubts and Runaways in my hand. And I will have Moment of Normalcies after I seal. He's never going to kill me. And he recognizes this about 30 minutes into the game 1. And I recognize that I can't kill him around the same time. And we both realize we are on a mill-out game, and he is like 5 cards less than me. And so we have to play both extremely conservatively because if I play too many cards, I start losing the mill out game. But he only plays one card a turn. So as I have to just play the same number of cards he plays. As a result,
Play
he
one pass for
finally-
30 minutes.
he does in the final 10 minutes, in fairness, go for a few attempts at a kill turn. But at that point, I have an Ichigaki on board, a Fill with Doubt in hand, and a Runaway in hand. And I'm just going, you have to do this 3 times. Oh, and 2 Not Now I'm Gamings, I believe, on board. And Imprisons to tap down his Special Forces Elite to cancel my stuff. Point is, with everything he had, there was no universe where he was going to be able to kill me at that point. And I would have won the mill out game. He had 10 in discard with 2 in deck when time is called. And it's like, okay, cool, 0-0 draw. I think I do play that match about as perfectly as I can because I think that deck does just end in mill out. I do not think I kill Deku 6, but I don't think it kills me either.
Yeah, and the other part is it's not only Deku's Flash. The other element of these the LTU vs Deku decks was they were all in on one punch and they were playing, 6, 7, 8 extra foundations that could flash moves.
Yep.
So you had to get through a wall of flashes and not just like Deku's gonna flash one.
And it meant that like I could not start debuilding to try to get me early games after the flashing. It just wasn't going to happen. So it ends up as another draw, 0-0 draw. I'm now 1-0-2 in round 3. I'm feeling not great. Round 4. I forget who my round 4 opponent is, unfortunately.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
Thanks
tell
to
me who my round 4
Metaverse is the best thing to happen to universes in a while.
True.
Your round 4 opponent was Sammy Hyatt on Rodan.
Yeah, Sam Hyatt on Rodan. Yes, that is right. Sammy, I believe, is what she likes to go by. Rodan is a matchup I think I clear pretty consistently. We had done it in testing, and it's just really hard for a Rodan to mount an offensive because it needs a string, and I'm a very good anti-string deck. And it doesn't have a lot of debuild protection, so I kind of keep her low. I end up getting an MMM online, I believe, and just taking her out. Game 2 ends up being close. She gets down to like check a 5 and she checks a 4, and then I kill her on the crackback. So that ends up being my game 3, and so now I'm 2-0-2, and I go into round 5, which is me playing Mark Tyner against Mark Tyner, who is on 3-check Mark Tyner.
Yeah.
Another draw game. I take game 1 in like 40 minutes. The problem is the 4-check version cannot kill quickly. The 3-check one, in theory, can if it finds an aggro.
Meant to have a much more potent offense, yeah.
Yeah, and
that's part of the idea.
It finds double Pale Rider. He finds double Pale Rider game 2 and kills me on like turn 4. It happens. So now I am 3-0-3 or 2-0-3 going into round 6. I end up beating another Deku 6. This one actually had less protection, so I think I do actually just kill this one traditionally. But same deal where like it just couldn't mount an offensive against me. So I end up going in at 3-0-3. I'm not sure if that's going to get it or not because I thought that would put me on the bubble, but as we kind of figured out as we were discussing it in round 6,
we had an hour.
Yeah, unintentional draws were weird enough in this one that all X2s or better were getting in.
Yeah, I do think like if you plug the numbers into the calculator, it was going to be all the X2s in from the jump or pretty close to it. So it wasn't really that surprising.
If you assume no draws, it was something like 4 don't, like 8, or it was like 8 get in, 4 don't, or something like that. Like when I plugged it in.
Yeah, there was still a bubble, but it was a pretty like favorable bubble.
Yeah,
But
I think we had like 58 people. I think, was that right?
I think so. Yeah.
So like it's a somewhat tight 64, but catch top 16 is usually X2.
It was really important that all X2s got in because my breakers were terrible at this point because of 3 draws.
Yeah.
I had the worst breakers of the X2s. But I do squeak in at 15th, I believe was what my final record, maybe 14th. No, it's 14th.
Yeah, we're in 14th. Yep.
And I go into day 3 feeling okay because now we have 90 minutes on the clock. And most of the time, I can do a little bit of damage if I need to try and win a game 3 if we're needing to go by life total. Top 16 ends up being against a Krista deck, Ezra Miller on Krista. That is one of the matchups I felt the best about because her defense kind of requires her to get into her enhanced step. And that means she's playing 1 to 2 things, depending if she tries to go with a rampage first, that I get to check hack. And it's otherwise a pretty traditional 6-hand size deck. And she can't really make my checks too bad because I check 4s minimum. So all of those say I felt pretty okay. I just need to not get stun run. And I almost get stun run game 1, but end up doing okay. And then game 2, I think I just ended up giving her nothing to do. So I just keep debuilding her. So I win my top 16. I'm now happy because I've tied my record for last year. I go into top 8. Oh my God. I think I've told all of y'all the story at this point, and I have to share it to the public. I am glad I won top 8 because if I lost top 8, this would be the most humiliating part of my career. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just out of it or what. I go into top 8 and I don't check my sideboard, which is crazy because I think I had sideboarded cards like from game 2 in top 16. I just didn't think about deciding. And that part, like that happens. Like sometimes you forget to decide. You just have to admit it when it happens and you have to accept the game loss. But it's worse than just not deciding. It's a lot worse. For some reason.
It's funnier.
And it's crazy. TC, who is Deku 6, who's my top 8 opponent, I sit down, I go, okay, I'm going to win this game because it's the same deck as Porad. I know if I get to turn 4 or 5, he can't kill me. I'm going to win by mill out, and it's going to take 70 minutes, and we're not going to have a game time for a game 2. And TC pulls out his sideboard. And I almost pull out mine. I'm like, no, I'll just leave it in the box. And I do my mulligans. And I do my first check of the game. And it's Great Buckler, which is only in my sideboard. And then it hits me. I have shuffled my entire sideboard into my main deck. Game 1. And I immediately call a judge, and I'm like, Judge, I know what you have to do. It's fine.
Justin, my son, I'm proud of you. I haven't done that. You found a new territory. You found a new angle.
So, and it's so funny because I've talked to Felix was a judge. I've talked a couple times. He's a real nice dude. He just gives me this look like he's like, because he doesn't want to do it because you don't want top 8 to be because of judge damage, but there's nothing we can do. And so
I think as every judge, like none of the judges are like power hungry maniacs. They don't want to. They're not sadists. They just want the game to be good. They want to keep the game running.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we had one judge that was a sadist?
Please don't give me that judge. Come on. No, the scary thing with that sadist judge was the head judge. Then you have to be terrified.
But to be a universal judge, you have to be a huge masochist in the first place.
True. So then I play, I think, one of the tightest defensively game 2s of my life to mill him out. And and the good news is, since it was on the first check of the first turn, I only spent like 2 minutes in game 1. So we still have about 30 minutes in game 3 at this point, after milling him out. I do feel bad for him. He goes for a string turn on me to try and kill me because he knows he's going to mill if another turn happens. And at this point, I am gripping 4 Fill with Doubts in my hand. And it's like first attack goes into the Smiling Titan because it has to. I think it's like second attack I do a normal block on because he doesn't pump it. And then it's like he does a misplay and I don't catch it at a time and it's fine. He does Genkai's Guidance thinking it's a form, not a first form, which is that's fine. Like and it wasn't game determinative, so it's fine. I don't want to blame him for that. He has me discard a card. I discard a Runaway, which is a bad sign if I'm not gripping a Runaway.
Yeah.
And then I think I don't. And then he has an action cancel, so I Runaway burn on his next attack, and at that point he is out of foundations to make something lethal. And he goes, "Yep, that's game 2." And then game 3, I side out like half my Runaway. I don't remember if I side them all out. I at least side out half my Runaways in game 3 because I know it's going to come down to life points. So I can't lose life points. And I play some really tight aggro I get him some damage early to get him like 23. And then he lets like a Smiling Titan through without flashing, which he probably shouldn't have done, but he was really worried about the Attack Titan attacks, and he didn't have another flash on board. And so I end up massive Mune Machining that one and bringing him down to 12. And at that point, just basically play defense the entire game. He gets 1 hit on me that brings me down to 23. Time's called. I win through higher health total. I move on to top 4. Probably some of the best games I played that day, like tightest games minus the game 1, because I had to lock in for game 2 and 3.
Is the tiebreaker rules in Top Cut still? There's the like 5-turn window.
Yes, we do the 5-turn window. But at that point, like,
nothing material changes. Yeah,
I run all my defense and just say, dude, you're not doing anything. And then I get into top 4, and I'm very disappointed with my play in top 4. And that is not to take away from George. I think George played very well. I think the Godzilla deck was very good. I don't want anything I say when I say I played subpar and that I could have taken one of those games to try and say anything negative about him. That being said, I think I do make some game determinative misplays in top 4, and I'm very disappointed with my play in top 4. Game 1, I probably lose no matter what, but I go from like a probably loss to a guaranteed loss because I flip a blue flame. He plays a second blue flame. I have an Ichigaki on board, and he activates airship, and without thinking, I just say pass on response. And he airships up the first blue flame and then kills me. Now, he was still at like 25 life at that point, and I was getting pretty low. I think I lose the game 1 no matter what, but it is disappointing. Like, that was a very clear game.
Yeah, you go from playing the game to dead. Yeah.
That's not the one that really frustrates me, though, because I was probably dead either way. What really frustrates me is game 2. We get to the end of the game. I have 5 health. He has 1 health. I know if turn gets back to me, he's dead because he doesn't have many foundations up for defense. And he goes, Scanlan's hand, commit a foundation because he doesn't have momentum. Plays the 5 diff low attack that gives +1 to the next. I end up, I think, partialing it and taking a little bit of damage. And I look at it and I just oh no, I remember what it was. It was I attempt to block it with a breaker 1 block, because if I do that, he cannot pass a 5 diff, guaranteed. If I don't breaker 1 him, he can pass a 5 diff by checking a 5. And he plays walk the dog, checks a 5, and I scoop at that point. And I wasn't paying close enough attention. I only had 2 committed foundations. If I was paying closer attention to my stage, and I will talk about some of the reasons why I don't think I noticed that when we talk about props and slops. It is my fault no matter what. I do want to be clear. I was playing on the stream. I knew what the stream table was. It was my fault. I do wonder if there were things about the stream table, which we'll talk about later, that would have made me more likely to notice this in a different situation. But because I had already done the math in my head that like a 5 on a 5 kills me, I just scoop at that point.
Yeah, just automatic better matching.
When otherwise I could have made sure he failed, gone back to my turn, and brought it to a game 3. Now I'm frustrated with that, but it's not the end of the world, because the fact of the matter is I still would have had to win a game 3 with Godzilla going first, and that is a rough matchup for me. So like, I don't think it's like, oh, if I did that, I would have won the best of 3 or anything. But I am frustrated that like, oh man, I did not play at a top 4 standard in the top 4 table. But at the end of the day, if I'm not playing a top 4 standard, do I deserve that prize card?
We got to get you back on the Team America USA confidence joint. Like, it'd be so much more entertaining.
What, that I'm actually like humble and acknowledging my flaws?
No, like you're the greatest of all time. Kelvin Taylor's got nothing on you. These Godzilla players, like, they got lucky that you were tilted from shuffling your sideboard and burned out from Deku matchup. Like, where's the cope?
I'm sorry that I'm on my brand safe era. My bad, Kevin.
I definitely would not have gotten vaporized from orbit by that Nagoriyuki.
Yeah, so I had won the Nago matchup the one time we play tested it, but then again, that was the first time he played against Tyler. I have no guarantees I would win that a second time, and I do think like the Nago matchup, which I'd have to win, if he has to check 3s on his first 2 attacks, or I die. If he checks 5s, I am dead, because all his things are 3 diffs. But that being said, like, I'm a little disappointed in my top 4 play, but I'm very happy overall. I beat my record for the highest placement of worlds, went from top 8 to top 4. I think I'm the only player who was in top 8 the last 2 years, which is cool. I'm very happy with my performance as a whole, even if I was disappointed with that top 4 performance. And it just means that now I have something to strive higher for in November, getting that finals or that first place.
I mean, what I've been thinking since I've been hearing you talk about it every time is like, I think that it's good to have goals, but it's good. I think it's better to have goals that are within your locus of control, right? To say, okay, like next year you're not going to pass on responses to an airship that's going to kill you, right?
Sure.
And I think that there's a certain sense where saying my goal is top 8 is kind of a toxic thing to yourself, because it lets you relax once you've achieved that, and it lets you kind of, it just kind of takes you out of the experience of being there. And I've been trying to figure out how to express that ever since somebody said that before.
And like you could
Worlds.
do nothing wrong and end up 3-3, right? Like
Sure,
it
sure.
happens sometimes.
100%. And I don't necessarily disagree that it's a toxic mindset. It is also how my brain works. I am very much someone who, like, external goals are a big deal for me. Like what you're describing to me is an internal goal. Get better at doing this thing. That's an internal goal. And those are great. I was a competition person through high school and college, and I love coaching competitions as an adult. Like, to me, competition and like getting the top of the mountain, like I don't think the UVS interviews have come out yet. I talk a lot about it in my official interview with UVS Games about, like, I didn't know this every time. Yeah. To me, reaching the top of a mountain is such a big goal for me that's my ultimate goal. I have always said my goal is to win a character card. Now, it doesn't have to be on a specific year. It's not this year I'm going to win a character card. But before I quit the game of universes, I want my face on a character card. So the frustrations are just, oh man, could this have been the year? That's where it comes from. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, the fact that it's so close.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. At least, like, you prepared yourself well enough that you were in a position that it could have been different if you hadn't thrown.
Yeah. And I also think it's like, to me, healthy competition mentality is having an external goal is fine, as long as when you don't meet that goal, you don't crumble. Like,
right.
I didn't meet that goal and I go, man, that kind of sucks. Okay, what do I need to do in November to play better? I need to practice on paper more so I get better with paper play. I get better at observing when things are happening on paper play. That's like my number one from this tournament, is to play on paper more. That's a favorite print. Chris was gonna send me a shower realm. I think there is.
I am so glad we're not reprinting Faye.
Is Chris still Chris, or has he become has he been infected by the demon of Nagayuki? Right, like, would he still have made the Faye reprint, or would he have made like Godzilla 5 Dot?
Oh my god. No, I think he would. Here's the thing. I mentioned for a brief second I was considering considering retro. And Chris, the first thing he does, he goes, "Hey, do you want to play Faye? I'll send you a Faye list." And he
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's good.
He goes PM'd and he sends me a Faye list. And
I'm still waiting for that thread to go up so I can post a string of angry emotes in it.
Speaking of champ cards, though, it's honestly a good thing for you, Justin, that you didn't get your champ card this year. Because if it was anything like the idea that you pitched to us in like the lobby that night, you would have gotten dogged on for how dog water it was.
I'm sorry. I think that effect is still cool.
I think your first effect was cool. The rest of your character was bad.
Hey, champ cards are allowed to be not good, so long as
Sure.
they're cool and fun.
We just
Yeah.
Tim, you would
we
not
like
my
making fun of
character because-
Justin. So
Tim,
we
you would not
just
like my
continue
character
to
because
do
it would have had DR printed on face.
If it's
What's it
like significant DR in every attack, yeah, I won't like it. If it's like once per turn DR, that's kind of fine.
His second effect, and I won't say what his first effect is because that's the one I know I'm going to keep, and I don't want to spoil it now for whenever I do get one because I really like my first effect. I'll tell you off screen.
His previews.
My second effect was going to be this attack gets plus X or minus X damage. X equals the number of cards you've built this turn.
It was just Mike Hardiman, but also DR instead, or as well.
Sure, that's probably hard. You might find a way to count to 2 or 3 on defense, but you'd have to work for it.
Right.
Whatever.
His face had a way to build 1 on defense. That's all I'll say. Like,
Sure.
So you always got 1, and then it was, do you have additional effects?
Anyway,
but
I'd be cool with moving on to props and slops because we've almost spent an hour.
We probably do some
we
meta
can
talk
we
next
can talk
time.
meta. Yeah, we have plenty of time to talk about meta stuff.
absolutely.
Once I've finished reading all the Godzilla cards,
Yeah.
I'm like 45% through now.
Forget about Zilla cards. I need to read some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cards. Like, there's been like 3 or 4 separate instances past days. People just like name a card. I'm like, I've never heard of that. When I look it up, it's a Turtles card. That's a niche thing.
What my brain pattern matched to was that we are shit talking Magic.
Oh,
Hilarious.
no.
Dude, the crossover IP
No,
thing.
it turns out that we
crossover.
have had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set.
Yeah.
I know I haven't read any cards in it, I've learned. But it did happen. It is a Universes set.
I've read exactly 2 cards, Mega Mutant Machine and Equipment Heist. And one of those isn't legal anymore. But yeah, over this weekend, how did you guys feel about the event as a whole? Like, what were your props for it?
Props to Tim Heath, the greatest deck builder of all time. That is a quote from Kevin Broberg when I was like screaming at Sean in the Denver Hall after round 2.
I'll give a very brief prop because I know I've spoken a lot already. Very brief prop. Levi being a face for OP, I think is very good for us because I think that dude knows how to give a damn good presentation and knows how to talk very well.
He is very charismatic.
And so like I think him being the one who announced Top Cut, I didn't see the keynote, but everything I heard from the keynote was that it was fantastic. I think Levi getting to lead the charge of the OP team and be the face of it, and I think he's also in charge of it now, is very, very good.
Yeah, you certainly props to the general organization of the event, their side event schedule. They rummaged up all sorts of stuff for the prize wall. They were giving up. The prize wall stuff had
the prize wall was fantastic.
Good rates. It felt good to play in things that gave you prize wall tickets. Where like winning a match meant you got an entire extra promo, and they had pretty much the whole year's worth of promos, and even some stuff from like some store things that never actually went out were available. Right. The play mats were like 2 tickets, so it felt really, really good to be redeeming for prize. I actually got an uncut sheet this time.
Hell yeah.
You know, part of that is the people in the main event got an extra supply of prize wall tickets that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the prize wall was great. The side event I didn't get to. I played in teams and I did some gunslinging. I was too lazy to sign up for any of the pre-releases on time, and I didn't sign up for the cube in time, and I need to sign up for stuff more in advance next time. Now that I understand that that's a thing that's going to happen. But
Levi, I agree with you, by the way. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Prize walls should be broken. Like
I remember in previous events when we've been like, when the prize wall hasn't felt so good or whatever, or the promo entry, I would always compare them, and this is going to be less true over time, but still for a pretty good while, people were and probably still will be comparing events to that first year of MHA.
Yeah.
Right. Where you entered and you got like 6 really sick looking promos just for entering, and you got more as you would, and just no matter how you did, you really just felt like you got away with a haul at those events. And it just for the 2-3 years after that, it just didn't feel anything close to that for one reason or another. They wanted to make promos more rare or whatever. This event felt like going to one of those MHA 1 events where you're just going to get a lot of stuff. And it's going to feel really good.
Yeah, I have exactly 1 slop with the prize wall, and we'll get to that. But it's the props of the prize wall outweighed the slop. So
absolutely,
everything was great.
And kind of
close to the end, we got extra stuff. Like they were just trying to they were just giving away stuff. So like,
and kind of an extension of that, guaranteeing that Top Cut got 1 of every promo, or 4 of a playset of every promo, to make up for the fact that they weren't going to be playing for prize wall tickets on Sunday. I'm very happy with.
Sure.
I got the main thing I got the See the Oceans, and I got the Inspiring Songs, which are the 2 cards that I have considered in decks so far. But all the other ones are cool looking too.
You would put See the Ocean in a deck.
Biolante, baby. That deck's never gonna die.
And it looks like it's gonna die. It's gonna undie 1 point at a time.
Yeah,
exactly. Revered Hermit plus See the Ocean. We're going back to full, baby.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, it's another 5-hand size character that can play Revered Hermit, huh?
All right. Anyone else got props?
I mean, aside from this can lead into slops, because I have a minor complaint about this, but please. I always love early pre-releases at these events.
Yeah.
I understand that we won't have any on release weekend this year, but if we have any that are like right before release, if we can do some early pre-releases, fantastic. I want to do more of those. Those are so fun. But that does lead into my slight slop of I wish there had been one all 3 days.
Sure. Which day was it not one Friday?
There was not one Friday.
Gotcha.
As someone who was planning on playing during the pre-release on day 2, and if I made it to day 3, there's a chance I wouldn't have gotten to play at all. And round 3, it's round 3. That's the group, right, that helped us with this.
Yeah.
They did a good job. Like, obviously, if you paid for it, you'd still get your pre-release kit.
I think
they give you points and stuff like that. But it did feel kind of bad where I was like, I may not get to play in any of these. Why can't I
believe
just have one
they
on
actually ran out of product.
And that's fair.
And I don't know if they could have shipped in more or not.
Sure.
But they had to like stop letting the streamers show off cards.
And that's fair.
I also have a combo prop slop. Props to everyone who enjoyed Kevin Broberg. And props to Will Sir and Alice Kanevsky, whose name I forgot on the stream, who were respectively the artists who actually created this art and who inspired Disco Elysium and did a bunch of other art that very, very much inspired this piece. And everyone who came up and said hi to me about it and said they liked it, and it's really exciting. And everyone who's involved in the process has been awesome. And big slaps to me for leading 290 of them at my house.
Yeah,
having almost none to give out.
My slop is to Kevin Broberg for me being the only co-host of the Vortex cast. He did not give a copy of his character to.
Hey, I made sure to ask him ahead of time if I could get a signed one, and he said yes, and that's why I got one.
Because I promised that. You got one of the last ones.
Yeah, and but moving on to slops, one of my slops with the prize wall, and again, like I said, this is overshadowed by everything being so good. I was not a fan of when I finished on day 2, when I had been reading like the articles saying like you get guaranteed promos for your day 2. I was not a fan of going up to the prize wall and going, hey, could I possibly get an inspiring song? Just one. I only want the one. Or a Marley's Warriors, and being told, no, but I can give you the tickets and you can come and try to get one tomorrow morning. That was kind of lame. I was not a big fan of that.
Yeah, they just didn't quite have enough for that.
And
I think
sure,
that's my understanding. Like,
I get it, but it's one of those where I wish like we could have. If it says guaranteed promos, I want there to be stuff to choose from.
I think that will be easier to do if they want to. Well, there won't be like 3-day events like this at every random regional or whatever, but because the prize wall had like 50 promos on it, they would have had to theoretically store like 500 of every one or whatever.
And that's understandable. Like I said, it's a small slot, but it was slightly tilting that I remember I was told guaranteed promos, and then it's like you can have you can have tickets and cross your fingers you can get one. I did not.
I was not your prize wall's working when there's a line out the door before the morning. And
absolutely.
I was not anticipating that. I was like, yeah, they do this in Grand Archive, but they're not gonna be lining up 30 minutes before the doors open in UVS. That's not. And then I walk out there 15 minutes before the door open. There's 50 people there. I'm just like, all right, I'm not getting inspiring song. That's just how it is.
I have one big slop, and I kind of danced around it when I was talking about my play. And I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I know Tam is already suggesting changes to it. My understanding is he doesn't get the official call on it, but he's already suggesting changes to it. I had a little bit of beef with Stream Table setup. So like getting it out there, I understand the goal of Stream Table. We're trying to make UVS a more watchable game for viewers. And so the setup was done from a content perspective to make it more watchable and to make it more hype looking. So things like putting the characters in the middle so they're going head to head with each other and things like that. The backups were and assets were encouraged to be in a completely separate part of stage, especially if you had more than one of them. Suggested to be next to your character in the middle, and then your foundations were down at the bottom. And I think in many ways it made it watchable from a content angle. My problem is I think it hurt. Yes, there are new Mad Slot better. Yeah. So with me saying what I'm saying, it is me getting it out there. I acknowledge that it's probably being worked on, and that hopefully my solutions are in the new mat already. So keep that in mind. I was pretty frustrated when like I had my attention was split between two parts of my stage to track all of my effects. I might have still missed the two things that I missed in my top 4 if all my stuff was in one stage. I am frustrated that I can't say with confidence that would be the case because like I don't know how much my attention being split was slowing down my way of thinking. Or causing me to look at a different part. I think I still missed the Ichigaki. I think I was just playing quickly there. I do really wonder if I missed the only 2 foundations in my stage if I was looking at my entire stage at once instead of looking up at my backups and assets. I don't really know. And that is mildly frustrating that I'm in that position. And I know I am not alone in saying that. I believe Marvin said he missed at least one activation of Ryu because his character was not where he usually was. So he wasn't looking towards where he normally was to activate his response.
Yeah.
I hope we can find a compromise in future ones where the stream watchability is up, but also it's not changing the way people play dramatically enough where it might affect their shortcutting in their brain.
Right.
I'm gonna derail this with some off-topic but same idea nerdery.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a known thing for bards in Final Fantasy XIV that you want to put your song gauge and your important refresh skills and the debuffs that you're monitoring all in like the same area of the screen, because having more than one place to monitor is just a lot.
Yeah.
Especially at the pace that job plays. I'm the one crazy person that has them in 2 different places because that's just how the default UI was and I got used to it. But
Sure.
generally speaking, it is a recommendation that like you keep stuff, in the same region.
Right. And also like if you get forced to do something differently than what you're used to, that can leave open rooms for trip ups. Like Tim, if someone forced you to move all your bard buttons to the one spot, it might make you miss
know
something.
what to do.
Exactly. Right.
No
Like
it increased the cost of the
Right.
cognitive effort, right?
Right.
And that with that increased cost comes less space to reason, less space for creativity, and more likelihood of mistakes.
Isn't
that's
there
just like empirical fact.
Isn't there a 2-word term? The first word starts with an M, the second starts with an L. That Bill
Nah,
really
couldn't
likes.
be. Couldn't
Talk
be.
about how much we
Certainly
spend.
not like written about by any like members of the University Game staff who are like respected and high members of the like leaders of the community in any way.
It can't be something that rhymes with lentil mode.
All right.
But and then the other thing that was like more minor, I don't know if it really happened or not. We were encouraged to not shortcut to really say everything out loud, make sure it happens, make sure the opponent's responses. Instead of what we normally do in UVS, where it's like, hey, I'll play the attack, okay, and then someone goes, wait, I have a response. We were encouraged to slow down a little bit. My only issue with that is what we had in my game 3, where if there was 2 more minutes on the clock, he mills out.
Right.
And it's like, is slowing down going to cause that as an issue or not? And even like beyond the not shortcutting, things like constantly rearranging your stage to put the assets in a different spot, put the backups in a different spot, all of that is the fact you're having to constantly do it means you're doing it a little slower than you normally would. And like when one game came really close to mill out, that's mildly frustrating that might have been a thing. That one, there's probably less you can do to solve it. In a perfect world, you would have 5 more minutes on stream table clock. But I don't think they're ever going to give that because that slows down the whole tournament.
I have a much higher ambition for a perfect world, but yeah.
Wait, what's your ambition for a perfect world?
I think he's just giving you shit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like 5 more minutes, or like the clock somehow doesn't play a part at all.
Oh, sure. But yeah, so that's kind of that was my only real slop. Was the stream table.
I have a couple minor slides. We can talk about the one thing that's kind of already been beat to death, but in touching on other minor points, I would like for somebody to make sure that the Top Cuts players are reporting their matches.
Yes.
I was an invested person, right? Trying to like pay attention to what's going on Top Cuts. I want to be following it, right? I was one of the like 3 or 4 people that were actually sitting down watching the final stream. But every round, there'd be like 1 pairing left at the tables and 7 matches that aren't reported yet.
So
and no way to know anything about what's happened. unless
That
you
is
just go
not-
chasing people down.
That is not really the fault of the top cut players. I will say that.
Well,
The
yeah, it's on the
way-
staff, it's on the judges.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
staff was having us verbally report to them our
Oh,
results,
and then they weren't putting it in.
and then they weren't putting it in.
Yeah, either way, it needs to be made sure that those are actually getting put in the system
That
so
I
that
agree.
people, I imagine people watching the stream might have been getting some verbal updates, maybe, if the commentators were getting those sorts of updates, but they
I have no
probably
idea. I didn't
weren't.
watch stream.
But yeah, you could also help the stream that way. Generally speaking, they can be refreshing the results. Weather slop, and this is probably the nature of the room that we were in. It would be very helpful if they could figure out a way to have a speaker system that works.
The acoustics were awful.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if anything can actually be done about it or not, but it was a coin flip whether or not you could make out any given word that
Right.
anybody was saying on the mic.
Yeah, because
It
like
was-
Levi was like, "Can you hear me?" I was like, "Yeah, I can definitely hear you. I don't know what you're saying."
I
some
can
of
tell
these
that you are
times."
saying words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was difficult, right? And then the big slop obviously is that we had a 1 hour wait before the last round of Swiss doing a repair. And this was, I guess, a surprise to the staff. I think most people that play the game and have been dealt with the OP system directly for the past couple of years are aware of this. It will sometimes not pair in the way that you might expect a pairing system to, because I think it does some. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm sure Card.io has an explanation somewhere, but it seems to prioritize trying not to have pair downs where it can, and then it'll like make a pair down, like jumping a tier almost, where like a 4-1 instead of facing a 3-1-1, they might face a 3-2 or something like that.
Yeah, my understanding of the shape of the situation in round 6 was that there were it basically paired a pool of 12-point players of 4-2 of 4-1s or whatever into each other, and then there was a jump across that boundary of a 10-point player against a 13-point player.
Yeah, and it did the same thing
ladder-
with the
it didn't have anyone to match
3-1-2.
with.
I think like all the 3-1-1s were all the 3-1-1s were paired into each other, and then like there was a jump down from a 4-1 to something.
Right.
There were like a couple of these going on, and
like at one level, this minimizes the number of people who are quote unquote mispaired, right? Who have pairings of something like up or down, but also it has more severe mismatches, right? If you have a match of people who are separated by a draw in points, that's are physically adjacent potentially on the scoreboard,
right.
versus people who are potentially quite a distance apart from each other because they have more unique records.
Yeah, and so I guess a couple players objected for one reason or another. In some cases, it might have affected their ability to ID, for instance. And the TO team decided that they were going to fix this. And I'm sure if they knew it was going to take an hour, they would not have done this.
Sure.
But I think it was relatively predictable that it was going to take an hour. The act of communing as a council, and you have to decide as a group all of the finer details of how you think a pairing algorithm should work, is just going to take time before you even get to the act of actually making the pairings.
Right.
And so we were stuck there like watching them move index cards around. It was really bad, and I'm sure they know it was really bad, so there's not a whole lot of point to harp on it. But that was the one blemish on what was otherwise a very cleanly run event.
Yeah, my only thing I want to say about that, because I've spent time bitching about this in other places. The only thing I really want to say is that this is a known thing that Card.io does. Unfortunately, we've known some of us at least have known this for a while. Is not getting fixed anytime soon without them actively yelling at Card.io, and I'll be surprised if they even budge. So I want them to either make a decision to do something about Card.io doing this, or just not acquiescing to players complaining about it. I just want a firm decision in the future, because it's going to happen again, because this is how Card.io is intended to work.
Yeah, their software is built this way, and you can decide that you don't like your tournament software and then act on it after the event.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying not to get on the God, could we use software that's not Card.io train?
No, that's the entire. Did you see today? There's a story going around about a whole saga that Alestrals had trying to. They unfortunately attached themselves slightly tangentially to Card.io and got really burned by it.
Yeah.
I was posting a tweet around earlier. Apparently, at the Riftbound Q&A in Gamma, somebody asked if they were considering moving away from Card.io, and the entire room erupted into applause of just like, get the fuck off this platform.
Right.
Yeah.
It is the laughing stock of the industry.
Yeah.
Your game uses Card.io is like an instant sign that retailers don't want you take you as seriously. If it's Riftbound, they have to. It's League of Legends, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
if it's Lorcana, they have to.
They have
it's
to.
Disney.
It's Disney.
Like,
Yeah, I think that Card.io serves the interests of the corporations who say, "Hey, I'm publishing the game." The publishers really well, like it does a lot for them, and the players and the TOs are not necessarily like they're taken care of in that they are, they are served services. Like they get tournaments organized for them, but the quality of those is dubious.
yeah.
The good news, or silver lining right now that might be is more accurate, is that since we also run OP for Riftbound, we hopefully have a little bit more leverage to say, hey, fix this stuff. Hey, work on this stuff. And if they don't, I think we need UVS Games needs to consider something else. I mean, the problem is the software bad enough that anyone's going to quit the game over it? I don't know.
I mean, I can see a world where, and again, this is assuming we get to the point where Card.io does not do anything and TOs start telling their players when they complain about something like this, tough shit, right? I could absolutely see some players quit over that.
Sure.
Will it be a meaningful amount?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know if it's existing invested players up and leaving the game.
Right.
I do think there is a growing dynamic of if a store or a player learns that your small card game is using Card.io, that is a point against trying your game.
Absolutely.
That is, I mean, that is a big. I mean, Grand Archive uses their Omnidex as like a selling point now. Like, hey, we don't use Card.io. Come try our game.
Right.
And you would think, given that we are running Riftbound OP, we would have some more capabilities to get something better.
I mean, we'll have to wait.
It takes time. Like, for all we know, this could be 6 months in progress. The thing is, UVS is very, very deeply in bed with Card.io right now, right? It's running the reward store.
Yeah.
So it will be a whole huge hulking thing to like actually get off of it.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be, if they're not down that path, they are hopefully just like actively monitoring the scene and watching to see if competitors pop up. I know there's like a couple we were talking about in one Discord earlier.
Right.
Yeah, like genuinely, I asked the question of how much would it cost to have them implement a real second tiebreaker. Like, I'm a software engineer; is my job. Like, I will pay you a month's salary to get in there and just change your shit, guys. Please.
Yeah.
So does anyone else, because we already had 90 minutes, does anyone else have any props or slops before we kind of wrap things up?
No, I mean, I just want to remind anyone listening that like the things that we're complaining about are things that we want to see fixed. But overall, I think this event was a success. Like, I am very happy to see what the rest of the year brings us if they are even remotely close to the quality of Worlds.
I am hard pressed to think of a better event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slops to Kevin Broberg for not living up to peak universes.
I
was not prepared.
I'll give one last thing, because I just remember one last one when we're talking about being a peak event. Top cut chrome rares were really cool. Keep that level of pricing for a Worlds event. 5 chromes for every rank was fantastic, and actually gave like a meaningful amount of cards to sell as pricing. I've already made like $2+ grand on what I've sold so far, and I've only sold about half the cards.
Nice.
And like that makes me excited, because that's like, oh wow, I'm actually like, not necessarily, I'm getting fun money by doing this, and I'm paying my hobby. My hobby is paying for itself now, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I think there's certainly been years where like 4th place wasn't getting that, and that's really good to hear.
Yeah,
Right.
if all my stuff sells on the pace it's currently selling at, it will be like 5K by the end, and that's sick. Like, that's a sick amount of money to leave a tournament with.
There were many years of UFS, let's say, where that was probably more. That's probably more money than anyone made from playing the game at all.
Yeah.
And
Man.
hey, the world champ tunes in right at the last minute.
Yeah, we're about to
Hey,
leave.
George.
I was about to leave.
But hello, George, and congratulations again.
Yeah, congrats, George. Seriously, you did earn it. Let's give our kind of send off if everyone wants to talk about what they want to promote. Broberg, I've seen you've been doing a lot of stuff lately on your Substack. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I have a Substack. I write stuff. I have a lot more stuff in the hopper that I should edit and finish writing. But yeah, it's a good platform. I like it. And it's fun posting on there, and I would love to get more engagement. So yeah, check out buildubs.substack.com. Comment if you want me to write about something, because I like writing about this game. I post a lot on Discord, and I think getting it all in one place is very valuable too. So
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel, Satonis, CTONIS. It's been a minute since I posted a video on there. The odds of me posting a video in the next couple of weeks are a lot higher than they have been in a while. I at least have like a couple of ideas of things that I might do, which is more than I could say on most of our other previous casts lately. So yeah, check that out. There's still, there's some like beginner intermediate type videos on there that are kind of evergreen too. So yeah, give that a check.
Yep. And as always, go check out the VOD channel on YouTube, which is youtube.com/4checkscast. I'll have this episode up on Monday, and there's a playlist. You can watch everything that you've missed. Go give us some views on there. Justin, you can send us out.
Yeah, well, I will say one last thing. Do keep an eye out on the channels, the Discord channels and everything. I am intending, now I don't want to be boiled cried wolf, and I know I've said that before, so put an asterisk to this.
Mm-hmm.
I am intending with getting top 4 with the Tyner deck, and I think I put a lot of thought and evolution in that deck, talking about that deck from like initial creation as a 3-check unyielding deck, how it turned into, and why decisions were made for it. I do really want to make a video about. So
Okay.
if I do make that video, you will see that posted on all of the appropriate channels.
That was much different from what I expected.
Oh yeah, check out Jet's Rodan feature-length film.
Yeah,
I thought it
that's
was a pretty enjoyable watch. And I hope you're gonna at least match that, Justin.
Absolutely. God, I don't know if I could do a 2.5-hour video on
I
time.
thought my 30-minute not video was a lot.
I would just be rambling nonstop. All right, but to send us off, is everyone streaming right now? I know Coping with Cardboard was doing.
Tam is also still live.
Tam's still building some Zilla decks.
Sick. Then we will just send you guys over to the Tam then.
See if he's back in Destroya hell. He was trying to build a Destroya last night, and he was like already tired, and that character's so depressing to try to build, and just like gave up. I'm done with the stream.
Is Destroya the Steal Me guy?
Destroya is the one
Untap
that
Me guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll hit